who's the founder and CEO of the Rosie Network. Stephanie, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. If you know me, that's almost always my answer. Welcome to the stage. We're happy to kick it over to you and let you start this thing right now.
All right. Well, I see you have a video from our website up there. Be my guest and turn the sound on. Let's listen. You got the sound? Oh no. Well, not sure if the sound is coming through. Technology, you gotta love it, right?
Tell each other you're so resilient. But then I would go home and I wouldn't know what the next step would be.
When I was in the
Oops.
Life in the military is difficult.
You hear about things like the high suicide rate.
Many of those folks may have physical or psychological issues that are part of the things that they're dealing with.
There are long separations between a spouse and their service member. There's a lot of stress with raising a child or children on your own.
There were so many events that I would go to for spouses, and we would dance around, we would cheer, we would tell each other you're so resilient. But then I would go home and I wouldn't know what the next step would be.
When I was in the military, I always knew that I wanted to do government contracting. But when I retired and got out, it wasn't so easy to just immediately start doing the same career field that I was doing in the military as a civilian. When I met the Rosie Network, that's where they came in and helped.
We provide a no-cost program, national award-winning, called Service to CEO, to our transitioning service members, military spouses, and veterans all across the globe. The Rosie Network is committed to creating a holistic support system for veterans and military spouses who are entrepreneurs so that success is that much more attainable.
Rosie provides not just that access to all that they need for their business, but all that they need for their life. Because what affects your business? Being able to live.
If you could see the people that go through the program and see the growth and maturity from start to finish, I'm telling you, it's almost incomprehensible.
I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this is probably the best program available to veterans and military spouses who are entrepreneurs. We are changing the narrative for military spouses. We're addressing the military spouse unemployment and underemployment issue. And we're helping transitioning service members, veterans, and spouses find their purpose.
And remember, I have a community, I have support, I'm not alone. My business would not exist without the Rosie Network.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Stephanie Brown here. And yes, I founded the Rosie Network, over 13 years ago. Originally, my passion was to help military spouses who, like me, I had been a business owner, several businesses in Washington, D.C. before that wonderful, fateful day that I met a gentleman who would become my husband 1 year later. And then he got orders and we PCS'd overseas and I became unemployed and unemployable. So my goal was to help other spouses like me who had passion, who had a skill, helping them go from being unemployed and unemployable to being self-employed, right? Being their own bosses, helping them, navigate the whole process of launching and growing a business. It wasn't until years later that I realized, wow, I'm not alone. Military spouses have the highest unemployment rate in the country of any group, period. So that definitely challenges the financial stability of our military families. It impacts the marriage, the relationship. Trust me. I mean, when you have a career path, you have a passion, and yet you're kind of, I don't want to say relegated, but your focus suddenly becomes, okay, how long are we going to be here? Where are we moving next? How do I move the kids, et cetera, all those kinds of things. And then that creates that financial stress I told you about. So in my early days, when I realized, wow, I went from being a business owner to being unemployed and really unemployable, I couldn't even get a job in the NEX. Yeah, I know. So in my area of expertise, where, my degree, I couldn't get a job in the NEX. In fact, the assistant for the manager said, Stephanie, you are, don't even bother, because the manager is got somebody's cousin, sister's brother, or whatever headed over to is going to be getting the job. So that was sort of a kick in the teeth and a rude awakening to, what this lifestyle had in store for me in the early days. But I noticed there were a lot of other military spouses like me. And instead of being, unemployed and unemployable, I realized, well, I'm just going to take what I know and help them take that passion, that skill, and turn it into a small business. That was way before Rosie and Rosie the Riveter and We Can Do It and the Rosie Network ever even entered into the picture. So I just started working with and mentoring spouses. And that was really my passion in the beginning. And I realized I could make a difference. And that in turn made a difference in my life. It wasn't very long when the Rosie Network kind of began to take shape that I got a lot of feedback from veterans from, our community. And I thought, okay, well, if military spouses want this, then, maybe veterans will too. And so we opened up the doors and began serving transitioning service members, veterans. We touch about 30,000 a year. We offer not just our Service to CEO program, which is college accredited and national award winning. You can go on our LinkedIn or Facebook page and read every Tuesday testimonials directly from those folks who've gone through the program. But once they graduate, then they're welcome to join our national alumni group. We hold master classes. It's led by an extraordinary veteran, Dr. Ken Gay, and he's actually a Service to CEO graduate too. So that's kind of fun. We have Rosie chapters that are just for spouses, because sometimes spouses feel more comfortable kind of being in a cohort with themselves. So we do Service to CEO, our national alumni. We also offer mentoring, because we all know the statistics. I mean, your chances of failing in the first 3 years without a mentor are, much greater than if you do have a mentor. So we've committed to making sure that everyone that goes through our program has a mentor, does at least 3 mentoring sessions. But in addition to that, for everybody else, we also have a monthly Mentoring Matters webinar where you kind of pair off sort of like speed dating, right? We have a bunch of subject matter experts, amazing people come in and volunteer their time and talent. And then you register for it and you get paired off with a mentor, and then you get to meet other mentors as you go. It's a lot of fun. I've done it. And then we also publish a magazine called Military Entrepreneur Magazine, ME Mag. We do a holiday buying guide. I think that's coming out in October of this year. And it goes out to over 300,000. That's our distribution. We do it in partnership with Military Families Magazine. So if you didn't get featured this year and you got a business, you can certainly apply to get featured next year, but more importantly, look for it in October. And if we're not buying from other veteran and military spouse small business owners, then shame on us, right? Shame on us. So that's what the holiday buying guide is all about. And I think 2 years ago, we actually started a military kidpreneur program, which is incredibly fun. And if you go on our website and go to the webpage that has ME Mag, you'll find an issue about some of our military kidpreneurs. A lot of fun. Okay, so that's enough about the Rosie Network. Then I also, 3-4 years ago, joined a couple of really incredible spouses and launched the very first and only Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. The milspouse chamber is in the top 2% of fastest growing chambers in the country. And really the whole goal for that was to create our own seat at the table for military spouse owned businesses. We launched the only industry standard certification for military spouse-owned enterprises. It's accepted by USAA, CVS Health, Disney, AT&T, and I'm trying to think there are many others, but it really is the only industry standard certification of its kind. So if you're a military spouse business owner, I highly encourage you to get certified. You can put that digital, certificate on your social media, your website, or if you have a brick and mortar store, boom, get it in the window, let everybody know that you're a military spouse-owned business. We also certify military spouse-led nonprofits. Nobody else certifies nonprofits, but we do it for those that are led by military spouses like me. And veteran spouse, active duty spouse, it doesn't matter. You can go on the milspousechamber.org website and look up how we define a military spouse. And you don't even have to get certified to join. You can just join the chamber. We have chapters all across the country, meetups, online webinars, and in-person events. So go check it out. All right. So today I want to talk about really kind of focus on military spouses. Last year, I had the absolute honor of being invited to testify before Congress, and I was the only woman there on the panel. I was surrounded by, I think, 3 other older veterans who had very, very established businesses, and they were all in their 70s. So instead of just talking about veteran-owned, I made it clear that I was there for one reason, and that was to talk about our nation's military spouses and those that are becoming business owners and how the government needs to step up and support their efforts. You can go on Rosie's YouTube channel and watch my testimony, a couple minutes, but really at the end of the testimony, I hope that it was clear that my whole goal was to get military spouses designated as a disadvantaged category by the federal government. By doing that, it opens up access to capital that we wouldn't otherwise have access to. It opens up mentorship provided directly through the SBA, and it opens up contract and subcontract abilities for military spouse business owners out there who are absolutely crushing it to be able to do business with the government. A lot of times the private sector will recognize it if you're a disadvantaged category. We are trying company by company to break down the barrier of getting the private sector to go, hey, we're hiring military spouses, but that's only half of what we can do for them. We can also do business with them. So that's really what we're trying to do, is push to get the government and the private sector to go, it's not just enough to hire spouses, because getting a traditional job is really hard in the lifestyle that we have. But there are so many military spouse business owners out there that they need to be doing business with us as well. So that's kind of what drives me every day. That's what's turned my hair gray from the video you just watched. But it's a good thing. And that's why I get up in the morning every day, is to really help our military community, plant the flag, be, better and be more successful at launching and growing small businesses. And, in my heart, military spouses hold a special place, because my mother was a military spouse, and I am as well. So those are some of the things that we're doing in our neck of the woods to help elevate, raise awareness, and create action. I am hosting a military spouse entrepreneur roundtable in Washington, D.C. at Grow with Google's headquarters on December 5th. If I have any military spouses listening in and you're interested in attending, I believe it's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And really the whole goal is to bring military spouses and business community leaders and just leaders in the space, committed individuals. You don't have to be a mil spouse, but together and working through for several hours. Okay, what are the challenges that military spouses face? And then what are some of the opportunities? And at the end, we'll be creating an action plan. What can we do as a group? Who else can we bring in to create an effective, humongous campaign to benefit our military spouses? Is it licensing issues where we can put some pressure on states, right? For there's so many different types of licenses that business owners have to have. And if you're moving that business every time you PCS, you're having to go through the same expense and the same process. MSJDN, you may be familiar with them. They did a lot of work for military spouse attorneys, but there's so many other businesses, from real estate, license to hairdressers, you name it. I mean, they all require a license. And so if that's one of the issues that we all agree that we want to put pressure, create a campaign and make that change, fantastic. If it is government contracting, which is, I want to see that happen. It's great that we recognize women-owned, veteran-owned, but we really need to recognize military spouse-owned, because again, the highest unemployment rate in the country of any category. We can fix it, but we're only going to fix it if we do it together, right? Rising tide lifts all ships. So breaking down the barriers is, what I'm wanted to talk about today, and that trying to share a little bit about, how we're doing that. We're working with other organizations. Again, December 5th, go to our website, December 5th in Washington, D.C. at Grow with Google headquarters from 10 a.m., I think, to 3 p.m. Let us know if you're in the area and you'd like to attend. I'd love to send you an invite. It's limited to about 35. So, and we already, we have a group coming. I have a military spouse of a congressman coming who's going to speak. Her husband was a veteran in the Army, Special Forces, and she was an incredibly successful business owner in her own right. So she's going to come and kind of share her story. And then I have an executive from Navy Federal Credit Union coming out who's also going to be speaking. So if you can't be there but you want to be engaged, I don't care if you've got 20 followers or 20,000. We need your voice. It's the only way that we're going to actually make a difference. All right. As much as I love talking, I like action better. So I always tell my team, bring me a problem. I love it. Bring me a problem, but come to the table with a potential solution, right? Can't just focus on the problem. We have to focus on a solution. So I definitely want to open it up. I see folks are posting some comments. If there's a question for me, if you want to share your business, if you have a business question for me, happy to, provide whatever guidance I can. I also want to share a little bit about what we're doing to kind of change this ecosystem in 2026. And I say ecosystem because that is exactly what we're building right now. Veteran service organizations like Rosie, like the Milspouse Chamber, we're referred to typically as veteran service organizations because we're nonprofits. So VSOs like us, we're usually fighting for scraps when I talk about, funding. Over 70% of the current funding that goes to VSOs go to all the big guys. So the names that you recognize every single day, the USO, VFW, American Legion, trying to think of whom else. Wounded Warrior Project, we love them, but they get the vast majority of veteran service organization funding. The rest of everybody, if you look at the stats, it's pretty disheartening. And the reality is that those of us who are smaller, we tend to be more of the boots on the ground, providing that one-on-one training, mentorship, giving that hand up, et cetera, that sometimes the bigger guys can't do. So in order to help solve this problem, I'm part of a group that is creating an ecosystem of multiple veteran service organizations and the private sector coming out under one umbrella. It launches in January 2026, and it will cover anything and everything you could ever want to know, learn, or get when it comes to launching and growing a business. It's strictly for the military community. You want mentorship? We have a whole cadre of subject matter experts, from legal to HR to entity formation to marketing, you name it. and you can actually go through and select ones that you want to connect with. And you can do that securely through this ecosystem. I'm not going to share what the name is, so I'm going to save that for January 2026. But to suffice to say, it'll also include private sector. So if you need funding, like what are the different types of access to funding, how to prepare to get funding, what's a CDFI, what is an SBA-backed loan, how can you apply for it, how can you be prepared, what do banks look for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we will have some of those under this ecosystem, under this umbrella, as part of this huge platform, but they'll only be vetted. They'll be only ones that we vet, right? So they have to operate with integrity. They have to provide a valuable service to the military community, or they don't get to be involved. Sorry, that's just the way it's going to roll. Not just that, but if you want to open up if you're interested in exploring franchising, we'll have a silo that covers that. If you're interested in selling or buying a business, we'll have a silo that covers that. You just want to connect with other entrepreneurs out there in the ether, there'll be a whole way to do that securely. If you need training, you want help reviewing a contract, there'll be individuals in silos that'll handle that for you. If you are a military spouse or even a veteran, you want to learn more about what you need to do to get certified. How can you get certified? We're rolling out a whole boot camp that'll help you, walk you through the process of getting into the procurement platform, whether as a reseller. We'll show you how to be a reseller, right? You may have a business that does some kind of, repair work, or you sell a product. Have you ever thought about reselling products some other company has made and selling it to the government, selling it to school systems, selling it to the private sector? Companies do it all the time. So we'll teach you how to do that. And unlike some other, options out there, we don't require that you're making, $2 million a year in revenue, or that you've been in business for 3 years. We'll take you wherever you are in your process. We'll support you in that effort and hand walk you through the entire journey if you're interested in procurement, supplier diversity, doing business with the government, the private sector. That's also rolling out as part of that. So I'm really excited. It's kind of been a dream of mine. It's what I've envisioned. So instead of us all being off in our own little bubbles and we're competing against each other, we're bringing the best of the best together under one umbrella. Any veteran, any spouse can go straight to this site and go search, this is what I need. And boom, we'll give you 3 resources, all vetted, all trustworthy, right there, no cost to you. Lots of other stuff. There'll be an e-commerce system on there. You want to sell and then we're going to market it. It's really going to be something extraordinary. I hope that's the plan. Hey, Sheena, good to hear from you. You're asked, do you have something for other executives that serve on boards? Not sure what is something, how to start, or if are you on a nonprofit board, or are you looking to get onto a for-profit board? Let me know, Sheena. So I serve on a board. There are obviously for-profit boards you can serve on, and there are nonprofit boards you can serve on, C6, C3. So my recommendation, actually, if you're trying to learn more about that, or if more support for executives that serve on boards, absolutely great idea. I mean, that would go into our resource. You just gave me an idea. Thank you for that so much. I serve on a board, so really what can be expected, what sort of time commitment, what sort of expertise, training, you're on both types. Oh, wow. Okay. So you could probably train or hold a class for us on what to look for when you're interested in getting on a board. I can tell you from my own personal experience, going into it with eyes wide open is critical, and finding out what they need. I've been asked to be on boards. Somewhere along my journey, before I got really gray and old, I had to learn the hard lesson of saying, thank you very much, but I don't have the capacity to do it right now. That was one of the hardest things to learn, was I can't do it right now. Aaron, are we coming up on time? I saw you popped up there. So there's Aaron. I do want to share this for military spouses out there. I don't care if you got a master's degree in education, or you just have a hobby on the side, right? Knowing you, knowing what time commitment you can make, what your financial situation is, what you need to launch or grow. All of those questions are hard to answer by yourself. It becomes lonely, it becomes frustrating. And my biggest piece of advice to you is don't do it alone, right? Do not do it alone, and join an organization, Rosie, or the Milspouse Chamber. Get in a chapter, go to your local military installation, find out if they have a group. Don't go it alone. Personally, I'd love to see you at Rosie or the Chamber, but I really think you need, because they're going to help you, and what you'll find is you end up collaborating. So there may be somebody in the group that has a skill or a product that you need, and that's something that will benefit you and your business. Hey, Selena. Okay, so your question is, what do you feel is one misconception civilian employers may have for milspouses seeking employment? To flip that question, what's one misconception we milspouses may have about employers and are not seeking employment? That is a great question. I'd love to hear what you think too. I think employers assume that, at least in my experience, that we're, not reliable, especially if it's, there's a set time frame that you're required to meet. That because we move so much, we have a, husband or wife or partner that is deploying on training or deploying overseas, that we can't be relied on. And nothing could be further from the truth. The statistics show that employers that do commit and hire military spouses way more often than not say it was the best decision they make, that the spouses are some of the hardest working employees. They know how to do stuff in a pinch in, no time flat, because we don't get 2 years notice. Hey, you're moving overseas. We're giving you 2 years to plan. Oh no, we'll get 6 months if we're lucky. So we do make great employees. And I think when you go in, if you are looking for a job, you need to, first of all, I believe it's still illegal for an employer to ask you if they look at your resume and they notice that you've been for the last 10 years living near all the military installations. It's illegal to ask you if you're a military spouse. Make sure you confirm that. I'm not an attorney. But if you do share that, tell them we're expected to be here for 3 years, and all kinds of other, what you bring to the table, you're going to work hard. So I think there is that misconception, but those employers that have hired spouses, without a doubt, the feedback is absolutely positive. And I think, maybe some of the misconceptions that spouses have toward employers is they're not going to want to hire me. Sadly, that is sometimes the case. If you're not an MSEP partner, if you don't know anybody out there looking for a job, part-time, remote, full-time, I highly recommend you go on Military OneSource. It is the DoD's website, and they have every single thing there, including companies that want to hire you, jobs that are available. They have mentorship. There's so much there. You even find a video on the Rosie Network and the Military Spouse Chamber. But again, I've been to, I don't even know how many job fairs, Selena, all across the country for years and years and years. Somebody was holding a job fair, someone like hiring, I was there. We'd put up our little Rosie resource table, and more often than not, we were the last table to break down. We were swamped. Why? Because there were especially so many spouses that hadn't even thought, oh my gosh, there's somebody here that can help me start a business. I make little kids, bonnets and booties or whatever, how can or I make beef jerky, or you name it. We have literally helped launch those businesses. We've had businesses even get a deal on Shark Tank. So it's doable. And Dawn says she agrees with me. Thank you, Dawn. But same to the civilians too. Sometimes they don't stay a month. Sadly, that's our case as part of the military community. It's reality. I mean, there are great things that come with being a military spouse. You get to travel. Hopefully you guys have been stationed somewhere that is nice. If not, I'm sorry. That should definitely be one of the benefits. And if you have kids, they get, I was a military kid. I moved more times. I think I went to 5 different high schools growing up. I'll tell you one thing, walking away from that experience, I hated it at the time. Every single time I felt I'm always the new kid, but I walked away from that experience being absolutely fearless when it comes to walking up to a complete stranger, saying hello, introducing myself, asking questions about them, or getting up in front of a room and just talking about what I know and what I'm passionate about, which is, the first time I have to admit, I thought I was going to have a heart attack, but that was it. That was it. I was done. And I said, as long as we're talking about something that I'm passionate about, I know I can get up on the stage. Doesn't matter. But that's it. You got to be passionate. How has remote work changed the landscape for military spouse employment? That's Travis. Thanks for the question, Travis. It has definitely changed. It's fun. I think we saw a huge shift during COVID. We saw a huge shift for pretty much a lot of employees across the board toward remote work. There are some organizations out there that Squared Away is one. It's a military spouse company. They offer remote work for military spouses. I love them. They're fantastic. So check them out if you're interested in remote work. They can actually provide training. And it's military spouse owned business. But if you're going to do remote work, right? Why not be self-employed? Even if while you're looking for work, rather, why not be self-employed? You say to yourself, this is my passion. This is my skill. This is what I'm interested in doing. And boom, you're self-employed. You don't have to file paperwork. I was talking to a group of Blue Star families, military spouses, a couple months ago. And I said, think about it. You're self-employed. When you file your taxes, you put self-employed, right? There are things that you can write off. Let's say you go to a business conference. Let's say you order or pay for a business magazine or publication or a membership. Boom, that's a tax write-off. That's a business write-off. You go to a meeting or you're going on travel to your mileage to the airport, your mileage to the meeting, all of those kinds of things can be tax deductible. So really at the end of the day, plus you can put it on your resume that you're founder of, Dawn's Equipment Repair, using your name, Dawn, Dawn's Equipment Repair. And then boom, that's you're off to the races. You are a sole proprietor, small business owner. The world is your oyster. And it just goes from there. Then you network, get involved with organizations, with individuals that bring value, that can help you get exposure. I see that Mountain Up just posted, said, thank you, Stephanie, and the Rosie Network. Our feature was in ME Mag, or Military Entrepreneur Mag, back in 2017. Oh my gosh, we've been around that long. No, I remember coming across Mountain Up and I said, what? We got to feature this business in our magazine. So super, super thrilled. And then 2017, and look how far, look at where you are now. It just takes passion and it takes a network. I am sure Ryan would agree with me that not going it alone, having other companies, other organizations out there that provide that kind of lift up, you can do it, mentorship, words of advice, just somebody to listen to, makes all the difference in the world. And that is one of the things that I'm absolutely committed to doing. So Aaron asked, Stephanie, is the Rosie Network partnering with the SBA and the big VSOs to help be their boots on the ground to deliver your mission? Absolutely. That's the goal. worked with the SBA. We are an official SBA resource partner. We are an official resource partner. So what does that mean? That means we share their information, they share our information. I've spoken at quite a few SBA events across the country. They've come and they've flown out here and spoken at our events. I've worked very closely with the Office of Veteran Business Development at the SBA, OVBD. I have spoken to their veteran committee. I love the SBA. And yes, I consider us the boots on the ground. So you can go to a 2-day conference and network, and that's fantastic, and walk away with all this great swag, and you can walk away having made friends. That is awesome. But then when you get back, what do? Right? Getting all that information and connections is one thing, but then what do you do with them? It is that action, right? That matters. It's that action that matters. And that's what networks and mentors and being part of a community actually brings to the table. They become your unofficial accountability partner. It's especially important for military spouses because we help each other out, right? So yeah, I'll actually be out in Washington, D.C. next week. I'm meeting with 2 Congress people. I'm very excited. One of the big things I'm pushing and advocating for, again, is that military spouse designation as a disadvantaged category. It's not easy to get. So my hope is that when we have that draft bill, that legislation, that we're going to push it out to the military community at large, and that each and every one of you will be an amplifying voice for that change. Because if we can get that, it will be it'll be a game changer. It'll really be a game changer. Travis also asked, how has mentoring impacted your journey of entrepreneurship? I honestly wouldn't be here without the mentors that I've had. First and foremost, I have to say that Tom was my biggest mentor. Tom and I, together for over 20 years during his military service, active duty in the Navy. He served over 30 years. And we lost him, sadly, 4 years ago. He passed away. But when I started the Rosie Network, I remember throwing the idea by him, and anyone who ever knew him or worked with him. And believe me, I've heard the stories, in the past 4 years for sure. He was never one to go, oh, that's a great idea. You go ahead. That's fantastic. He would look at it, pick it apart, ask 100 questions. Well, why not this? Why, how come you're going to do financial literacy counseling? Service members can get that, at their local command. And and then I'd give my answer. Well, a lot of those guys and gals don't want to go to their command and let the command know they're having financial problems. And your personal finances and business finances are night and day. It's very different. So, things like that. He was my first mentor. And at the end of that grilling, I was better for it. I was smarter. I could answer, all the questions and pushback that he gave me. And he gave me the courage really to do it, take the leap. And I'll never forget one of the most powerful messages from a mentor, Travis, that he said. He goes, Stephanie, everybody needs a purpose. Everybody needs a purpose in life. And you're helping veterans and military spouses find their purpose. That's a gift. Now go do it. And that was it. I was like, that was huge. That was a turning point for me. I've had multiple mentors over the years. And when I say mentor, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a formal mentoring relationship, like we enter a contract. It is really coming. And I've also mentored coming across people in your life, whether it's part of a service to CEO cohort or a chapter at the Military Spouse Chamber, coming across somebody that you just, you have something to give, you give it, right? Because it comes back to you tenfold. There is nothing in all these years I've enjoyed more than one-on-one time with the individuals out there doing the hard work, right? It is a blessing, absolute blessing to be a mentor to somebody. I wish I had more hours in the day, that I could mentor more. I think it's one of the things I miss most is when you're running organizations, you don't often have enough time to be that sounding board and that mentor. But start out by being somebody's mentor, really. If you're nervous about getting a mentor, start out by being somebody's mentor. When our ecosystem launches next year, we're trying to make that process easier. I will also say, I think, the last thing that I'll say is start small. Determine whether a business for you is a hobby, something you do when your kids are at school or taking a nap. It doesn't matter. We're here to serve you. If you want to be the next unicorn, that's awesome. We're here to serve you for that too. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. We're here. We're here for you. You don't have to do it alone. Create what you call your BHAG, right? What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? If you've ever read the book where the BHAG term came up, it's a great book. Determine what that BHAG is, and then create a roadmap how to get there. Because if you just look at that big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Like, you want to be a bestseller on Amazon books, whatever that big dream, that big, hairy, audacious goal is. If you look at that, it's overwhelming. It's terrifying. It's intimidating. And you think, I can't afford it. I'm not smart enough, or whatever the case may be. It can be overwhelming, and it will keep you from taking that step, right? Don't do that. Know what it is, and it may change, but know what it is. And then in writing, lay out, okay, what are the 5 things I have to do? Built to last. There you go, Jim Collins. Phenomenal. Read it. Lay it out as a roadmap. What are the 5 first things I have to do? Okay, I have to have a business plan or the equivalent of something. I'm going to give myself 30 days, set realistic goals, okay? Or within those 30 days, I'm going to interview or talk to or connect with at least 3 other business owners that have passion or knowledge in these 4 areas that I need to build my business plan. You see what I'm saying? You've given yourself 30 days. If you accomplish it in 2 weeks, celebrate, post it out on social media. You exceeded your goal, but you have a goal, and it's a realistic goal in a time frame that you can manage, right? If you set those goals too high and you are constantly not meeting them, all you're going to do is become disappointed and critical of yourself. So make realistic goals as part of that roadmap. Write it down. Well, I'm old school. Put it on a computer. Open up a Canva account, canva.com. If you don't know how to use it, oh my gosh, you're missing out. So create whatever that first step is. Thank you, Travis. Create that first step and the little actions. I like to say I get emails and calls all the time. What if I'm stuck? What if I'm, just feel like I can't do it? Or this is how you fix that problem. This is how you fix that problem. You don't go it alone. Create that roadmap, realistic goals in a realistic time frame. And then every day you wake up, you look at it, you celebrate the little wins. Something doesn't happen right, don't distress. It takes 20 no's to make 1 sale. So keep that in mind. You got to go through 20 no thank yous before you'll hit your first, yes, I love it, I want to buy it. So don't beat yourself up, and connect. Ask people, put surveys out on social media. Hey, I've got 2 logos. What do you think? Vote for your favorite. Anything like that to keep yourself engaged with the bigger world. Once you enter into your bubble and you're in isolation, that's when bad stuff happens. Don't do it. And then what's the next step? What are the next things you want to accomplish? So you create this long-term plan. If you're like me, I want to get it done now. I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. I have a sense of anxiety because things aren't moving fast enough. This is the way I solve it. Then there are people that struggle with motivation. Having that roadmap. This month, I'm going to accomplish this. The next month, I'm going to accomplish that. Then hit my big first step, right? In 3 months. And remember, it's never a journey to the end until you sell your business or close it. It's always a journey, just embrace it. I will say one of the things that we begin with is start with your why. What motivates you? And you guys have all heard, start with why, right? Start with why. What makes you different? What motivates you is that, what, how, and why. Those are the three questions. We help you in Service to CEO. We have a phenomenal guy that comes in and teaches that part of that class. And so that's really your first step. Why do you want to do this? How, what are you doing and how are you doing it? I won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but I would add to that, define what success means to you. So what success means to somebody else is very different. Do not define what success means to you based on what you see on other people doing on social media. It'll crush you. You're comparing yourself to other people. Only do that when you're looking at your competitors and going, how can I do that better, faster, cheaper? Okay, knowing your competition. When it comes to you and what motivates you, define what success means to you. And do not build a business that's just about money. Build a business that's about making an impact. Boom. Not just about money. Build it about making an impact. And get involved, give back. If it's giving of your time to mentor other veterans, do it. If it is giving of your treasure, your business treasure, identifying a nonprofit that aligns with whatever you're passionate about and giving to them in some way, do it. Customers want to do business with veterans and military spouses, yes, but they also want to do business with companies and small businesses that make a difference. So put that, yell it, scream it, dance it, sing it, loud and proud, front and center on your website and your business, that you support your local kids soccer team, that, whatever that may be. Do something that makes a difference in the community, in the country. It doesn't matter. Find that and do it and advertise it. Not because you're bragging, but because you're motivating other people to do it too, right? They see you, you're leading the way, you're giving back. So those are just things that I'm incredibly passionate about. Build a business that makes an impact. It's not just about making money. Don't go it alone. Create a roadmap that gets you to that BHAG. Always be willing to adjust. Always be willing to get a mentor. Listen to other people. When somebody gives you advice, don't go, yeah, I thought about that, but it was a bad idea. Don't do that. Say, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I will think about that. I really appreciate it. And put yourself out there. Put yourself out there to help somebody else. I think you'd be, what's the worst piece of advice you've ever received? Oh, God, I will tell you the biggest mistake I ever made. And here's a lesson learned. Your team, and they don't have to be employees. They don't have to, be contractors. It's just the people that you bring around you, your team, however you define it, your mentors, your advisors, your employees, your contract, whatever. If they are your biggest asset or they're your biggest liability, one or the other. If they're your biggest asset, that means you're listening to them, you're supporting them, you're encouraging them to innovate, you're getting them to love what you do almost as much as you do, because nobody is going to love your baby, your business more than you do. Sorry, not going to happen. So, but you want them engaged. You want them to feel like they're part of it. They're creating it too. It's not just you, but then your team can also be your greatest liability. The biggest mistake in the years and businesses that I've launched, that I'm still running, that I've sold, that I've closed doors on. The biggest mistake I ever made were the people I brought in. So what do I look for in a team member? I look for, the most important thing is integrity. So the worst advice I've ever gotten is when someone will go, oh my gosh, this person is awesome. Go hire them. without listening to that little voice in my head that said, yeah, they're awesome. They're smart. They're capable. They're talented, but they're not a team player. They're doing it for themselves, not for the mission. And it cost you. It cost me. So that, always trust. I'm a very trusting person. I've been lied to. I've been stolen. I've been cheated. We probably all have. I refuse to be, I refuse to be anyone other than who I am, which is open heart and trusting. I want to see the best in you. I see the best in you until you show the not so great. I don't want to be that, jaded person. I refuse to be. But I have learned that you have to listen to your inner voice. And like I just did an interview the other day. I don't care what skill set necessarily you have for my purposes. I want someone first and foremost with integrity. Do you have integrity? You can be super slick, super smart, super well-dressed, all of that stuff. But if you lack integrity, I don't want you on my team. So always hire for integrity, because the rest of the stuff can be trained. I can teach you. We can teach you. We can support you. So always hire for integrity, not who's the shiniest and who's the most impressive or who's got the longest resume or the 15 degrees or certifications. I want someone with integrity. I want someone who owns their mistakes. Own it. Own your mistake, right? You're building that trust when you own your mistakes. I've had folks on our team that for the life of them, I don't know why, they couldn't own their mistake. It was 15 excuses, and I would, just try on the side privately. It's okay to make a mistake. I tell my team, I don't care if you goof up. I don't care. If you're taking the initiative to try something out and it doesn't work, I'm going to celebrate you for the fact that you took initiative, not that it didn't work out. If you're waiting for me to hold your hand and tell you, do X, Y, and Z and do it this way, that way, and that way, you're not on the right team, because I want someone who's going to take risks. I want someone who wants to learn. I want someone who's going to say, hey, can you help me? Can you show me how? Or I made a mistake. That's the kind of team you want to build. Best piece of advice I can possibly ever give anybody. Okay, well, we're coming up on, wow, I've been talking for this long. That's embarrassing. Travis, clearly this is something I'm very passionate about. I hope I didn't bore people to death. So thank you for having me. What an honor. Thank you for.
There's not a single person listening that's bored to death, Stephanie. You are
okay.
You are out of your mind if you think that that's true.
She just dropped nuclear value for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all make mistakes. Believe me, I've landed some nuclear ones, and you just got to pick yourself up, right? And it's helpful when you have a team, when you have good people around you that help you do that. You pick yourself up and you dust yourself off and think, okay, let's go. I gotta own my mistake. I gotta own it. Okay, especially to your team. I messed that up royally. How do we, help me fix it? Let's fix it. Let's go. How do we move on? How do we adjust? Fire and adjust. So, but it really has, and I want to thank you for inviting me, Ryan. It really has been a journey of passion and love. Truly, I love this community. I grew up in it. I married in it. I raised children in it. And you guys are what inspires me through the hard times. Let me tell you, through the really hard times. So thank you.
We appreciate you, and we love you too.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get all. Sorry.
It's okay to get misty-eyed. I learned that earlier today.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad. Yeah. Tears of joy. Thank you. God bless you. And I hope everybody that hears and sees this reaches out.